In this video, we're going to take a look at the Object Explorer within WellSeeker X. So the Object Explorer can be found on the left-hand side of your screen within WellSeeker, and it's made up of the database level, and then we have an operator, field, facility, new well, and then underneath the well we can have plans or we can have surveys. Now, plans are typically denoted with this little blue symbol, and surveys are denoted with the little red symbol. If you have a principal plan, the principal plan will have the blue symbol with a little red square around about it. So this is very useful if you have multiple plans underneath a given well. It makes it quick and easy for the user to see which one is the important one. So in order to build or access anything within our database tree, we start off at the very top and we right click, and that's then going to open up this options for us. And what we're interested in at the moment is the option to insert a new operator. So within the operator properties, we can enter our primary and secondary logos, and these will be available for plots in the wall plot composer. They'll also be available for any of your reports that you print off. Operator name, all of our anti-collision settings are also available in here. So everything from the scan method to the warnings are all included within here. And once we fill this in to where we're happy, we can hit apply and then we can hit close. One thing to be aware of is all the different levels in the database tree, there is an option here that says locked. And if you click on locked, it means that you obviously can't click on anything and you have to intentionally unlock it in order to be able to do anything. If you set a password in here, then you will require the password to lock and unlock any of the different levels in the database tree. So that's all controlled from the operator properties level. So once we've filled this in, we hit apply and we hit close. We now have our new operator in here, and I can right click, and because I'm at operator level, I can now insert a new field. So if I insert a new field, this is now opening up our field properties dialog. So we put our field name, we can select our mapping grid from this drop down menu. Personally, I prefer to access this via the mapping grid section itself. So if we click on that, it now opens up this dialog for the coordinate reference systems. It's got a search option within here. So you can type in NAD, for example, and that will take you to all your NAD 83s, 27s. You could type in whatever you want and it will help you to filter. On the right hand side here, we can see all of the information that goes into making up the coordinate reference system. So again, come in here, select the relevant one that you want, and then once you've chosen it, you would hit the select option here. And then it will take you back to the field properties. We can enter in whether we are facility or well-centered, if you're going to apply a scale factor, and we can enter in our field reference point. Now that can either be latitude and longitude, which is going to be degrees, minutes and seconds. You have to remember as well to choose whether it's north, south, east, west, or we can enter in the grid easting and northing. And this you can copy and paste into here as well. So Control V will paste in the values in here, and whichever options you enter, the corresponding ones will be automatically populated based on the mapping grid that you've got selected. And down here, this is your system vertical datum. In almost all cases, this will be left as mean sea level. You will be choosing the elevations later on in some of the different properties. So once this is filled in, we hit apply and close. And then again, we are right clicking here. Now, should also point out at this point that if you want to go back in at any level in your database tree, you can right click and you can select the properties option. And that will just reopen this dialog and allow you to make any adjustments as per your requirements. So if we right click, I can now insert a facility. So here we're going to choose whether or not we are grid or true north. These options here are for reference. They're greyed out because they're only available at your field level. So if you have to change any of these, you would have to go to the field level to access it to then make an adjustment. Lat longs, grid east and northings, the same as the level before. And then if you have any values for your facility location uncertainty, you can enter these in here and these will affect your anti-collision calculations. Rig directions, this is purely for an output that you can get for the field engineers. If you need to put specific instructions as to how to get to the rig, this is where you would put it. We've also got our templates option here. So the templates allows you to set a slot template. So we would, in this particular case, we don't have any. I can hit the option that says create new. And you can do single slots. We can do rectangles. We can select the number of rows, columns, spacings. And you can see we can also put in things like rotations. You can select if the template is centered relative to your facility, if it's offset, and you can convert these to single slots as well. Once you've created this in whichever way you want, you would just hit apply and come out of here, and these will then be available at your well level. So hit apply and close, right click, we can now insert our new well. So we'll enter our well name. We've now got latitude and longitude, grid northing and easting. We can also enter our local coordinates if we wish. So this would be the local offset from your facility. And if you've any slot template options and you've got those entered in the previous level, then you would be able to select those from here and they will automatically populate within here for you. This is now where we're also going to enter our depth reference. So we could put a rotary table elevation. We'll stick a value in here. Let's just say, make life easy, we'll put in 100. You can put in a rig name. And we also now need to put in a ground level elevation. So if I put this in at 75, the best place here now to sense check this is just to the right hand side, because if we've filled this in correctly, we're going to have our datum to system, we'll have our air gap, and then we'll have our ground level to mean sea level. If we've not filled this in correctly, if I put, for example, 25, thinking that this is my rotary table elevation above ground level, we'll see that the air gap in here is minus 50, and that doesn't make sense. So then that kind of points us in the direction of that we've probably made a mistake somewhere. So here we've got this entered, and you can select this as a default. Now you can have as many depth references within here as you wish. If I want to do some initial planning to ground level, put my ground level value in here. And the thing is, you have to, for each line within here, the ground level is separate, so it's not used across the board. Now that I've entered a line 3, I have to come down here and fill in my ground level again. So does this make sense? I've got an air gap of 0, so yes, that makes sense. The ground level entered in here, same value in here, and we can then utilize this in the planning. And then when we get a rotary table, when we know the rig, we can then use that for the final planning. And then for the field engineers, if they turn up on site and the rotary table elevation is slightly different, they can come along and they can enter in a new value in here, and then they can select that for the drilling operations. If we select default for any of these depth references, what that means is when we come and we right click on our new well, when we come to enter a new planned well or a new actual well, this is what will be used as the default. It doesn't mean we have to keep it like this. We can select this from a drop down menu and we can adjust it without any issues. But what it means is this will be used as a default moving forward for any new plans or surveys that we create. So this is me creating my plan. This is where we can select the option to set the plan as the principal plan, and that's going to give us our little red square round about here. We can select the vertical section. So the vertical section, you can either manually select this, or you can choose to use bottom hole location, and that will automatically calculate the vertical section based on the bottom hole location of your plan. Tolerance circles, these are just circles that can be physically drawn on your plots. If required, they're not targets, they're just visualizations for you, probably not used very much. Magnetics, this is where you're going to choose your magnetics, and this will have an impact when you're running your anti-collision, because depending on the instrument performance model that you've got selected, part of the process in calculating the ellipses utilizes these magnetics. So as standard within the software, we have got IGRF, and IGRF 14 is the most up-to-date model. But we do have the capacity to also use BGGM or HDGM, but those are licenses that you have to contact those companies directly to get, and you can then place within WellSeeker to use them. And the survey program down here, this will automatically populate as we start filling in our values. And you can choose whether this is a sidetrack or whether it's tied on from surface. So in our case, it's from surface, so we don't need to do anything else. Hit apply and hit close. So you can see now we've got operator all the way down to our plan level with our little blue symbol, and we've got our little red square roundabout here. If I want to access my plan now, unlike before where I would right click and I would go to properties, that's only going to open my plan properties. I want to actually physically access the plan, double left click on here and it will open up your plan. Now, something to be aware of, and things where people make a lot of mistakes, is they try to come down and they double left click on the planned wellbore. Planned wellbore is grayed out and is not editable, and that is intentional because the planned wellbore is going to give you a breakdown of your plan every 30 meters or 100 foot, depending on the unit set that you've got selected. So if I come along here and I stick 1,000 foot plan in and we hit save, if I then come to my planned wellbore, you can see the planned wellbore is still grayed out. Can't do anything with it, it's visual reference. So if you come down here and open it and you see that it's grayed out, you've come one level too low. I'm not going to go into any more details about the plans, I just want to show you how to access them and how to get down to this level. The last thing that we'll look at is coming back to this well level. If I right click, I can select to insert new actual well. Now again, very similar to the plan dialog, your new actual well is how you're going to start with your surveys. So this is something that field engineers may have to do if it's not been set up for them. Again, we're going to stick our vertical section azimuth in here after we've entered in our well name. Choose your magnetics. Make sure that the depth reference is correctly selected, and then we can hit apply. It's warning us the survey program's empty. That's okay in this particular instance. And now that we've got this created, there's one additional step that we've got here that we don't have with our plan, and that is we right click at the actual well level and we insert new survey. Now this could be surface survey, it could be MWD in 17.5-inch hole, whatever you want to do, name it appropriately, and you would select your tie on. Is it from surface? Are we tying on to something else? In this case, it's from surface. Choose your instrument performance model appropriately, hit apply and close, and now my new survey is available. If I double click on it, I can now enter whatever I want to in here, and my actual well, in the same way as the planned well bore, my actual well bore here, this is again, this is grayed out. We cannot edit this or do anything with this, but this is built up. Right click, go to properties. This is built up from my survey program. So if I now add an additional survey in here, right click, insert new survey. This time we're going to tie it on from my original survey, which goes to 100 foot. Choose my instrument performance model, hit apply, I can open up my new survey. It's tied on to the one above it, so this could be my intermediate. Hit save. If I right click on my actual well and go to properties, we can see that my survey program has now continued to be built. And if I open up my actual well bore, it's tied both of these together. So that is a brief introduction to the Object Explorer or the database tree within WellSeeker X. Fairly straightforward once you understand how to use it. And just remember that for all levels, to access the data, you would right click and select properties. But once we come down to plan and survey level, at the relevant level, you would need to double left click in order to be able to access the surveys and the plans.